Hello folks, I know it's been a long time since I've done a video. I've just had so many things on. I've actually been following quite closely another YouTube user by the name of Megasage 007. I don't know if he thinks he's James Bond or something, but that's the name he goes by. Look, I'll post a link down there in the bar for you to have a look at his channel. Now, what I thought I would do is I would play, he's got a video called on here, Is Atheism a Religion? It's quite an interesting video that he's made, and I thought I would just let you hear it and make up your own mind. Here he is.
Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. The title of this video is Atheism is a Religion. Now, they will deny it wholeheartedly, but it's important for us to see the truth of the matter. Atheism is like the color black. Black is the absence of color and is still a color. So atheism is a belief in the absence of God.
Yeah.
Atheists follow their beliefs like adherents to religions follow theirs. But presuming the absence of God, the universe of the atheist is left to center around themselves. Atheists suppose themselves free from sin and have in essence forgiven themselves from all wrongdoing and have made themselves to be their own God. The atheist doesn't need much of a God since they do not believe there is any life after death. But while they are yet among the living, they believe they are the higher power.
Well, we don't need a God, not because we choose to not believe in a God, but we don't believe in a God because there's no evidence to support that there is a God. All right? As I've said to you in many of your posts, if there was a designer, he would have left his signature somewhere. You know, we can use science to split atoms and look at genes and, you know, map genes, and we can look at the individual cells in the body completely, in not only our body but in plants and animals and everything else. And in all of that, there has as of yet been no digital signature, a watermark that says this was made by God. There is nothing. But there's nothing in the Bible that there's nothing in the Bible that can prove the the claims that you're making. And certainly when it comes to God, you know. Anyway, once again,
Only God can forgive sins, St. Mark 2:7. So atheists make themselves gods by forgiving every sin they ever committed. And the way they do it is by saying sin does not exist. By their beliefs, they do away with all of their sins and license themselves to continue sinning, since they do not hold themselves accountable to God for anything they do.
well, look, you're almost right there, sunshine. We don't hold ourselves accountable to a, I don't hold myself accountable to the fairy tale. I don't hold myself accountable to, fairies and, flying unicorns and whatnot. These are make-believe entities, and just because there happens to be a canon of work that exists, there's also a canon of work of Bugs Bunny. And although I would not be completely surprised to find that there's a cult of Bugs Bunny somewhere on this planet, that people follow Bugs Bunny and believe that Bugs Bunny is the is some sort of higher being and is to be worshipped. I would not doubt that something like that could possibly exist. Does that mean that we have to take that credible as just because they believe it, it therefore must be true? I would hope not, but the evidence is in the pudding.
Atheists have doctrines. They argue for the validity of their beliefs while insisting they have none. Evolution is a favorite doctrine of many atheists. They are generally pro-baby killing.
Whoa. All right, first of all, atheists are simply denying your claim. You make the claim, and we say no. That is not the same as us making a claim and stating it to be true. We are asking you for proof. We're asking you to provide the evidence. And you don't. You just come out with all these things like we're pro-baby killing. What does that mean? That, that we're that we run around with our little atheist Bibles, and kill babies. First of all, we don't have a Bible. We don't need a Bible. We don't have books. Yes, there's reference books, but there's reference books for everything. Just because an atheist happens to write a book does not mean that a Bible it makes. It's not something that that you can walk into a building and find a row of pews and find the God delusion or the selfish gene or the blind watchmaker or something. Chris Hitchens' God is not great. You don't find books unless it's a bookstore. Row upon row, and people standing there, reading these books. Atheists don't need to get together once a week, every Sunday, or any other day for that matter, and get together and congregate and say, God is, not real, God doesn't exist, God is not real. We don't need to reassure ourselves like you do. You go to church. I'm not saying maybe you don't specifically go to church, but you know someone who does go to church, okay? And they get together with other like-minded idiots, and they all sit in a room, and they all chant phrases, and they all say these things, and they say these prayers back and forth, and, depending on the denomination, they open up their wallet, and they drop money into a collection plate, and, somebody like God needs your money for some unknown reason. God can create anything he wants. He created heaven and the earth. He created all of us, but he needs our money. Use your brain. You have a brain. Use it. You just accept these ridiculous dogmas that, they just seem to run into each other and contradict each other. And when the ones that don't contradict each other, they just they blend in, and you replace one for another, and you pick and choose, and atheism is not that. Atheism, by definition, is simply the denial in the existence of a deity. All right, we just simply don't believe in a higher power. Not because, as I said, that it's the hip thing to do. Not because we're standing up and making a point. We don't believe because there's no evidence to believe. So don't come out and say, that atheism, advocate baby killing. That just makes me sick. This is the sort of things that pisses me off about Christians and other religious folk. That they make these bold-faced claims with absolutely no evidence. Just because I happen to support as a person, pro-choice, I believe that a woman should have complete dominion and control over her body. What she does with her body is up to her. Okay? That's what I believe. Because just as you have control over your body and I have control over mine, why can't she have control over hers? You know? That is not the same as baby killing. If she makes the decision that she doesn't want the child for whatever reason, for, incest, rape, I mean, there's all these possibilities that you just completely dismiss. Don't offer any evidence, don't offer any support for them. You just basically come out with a blanket statement like that atheism and atheists are pro-baby killing.
In regard to abortion, many atheists are pro-sodomy. Even if they aren't involved in sexual perversions themselves.
Oh, boy.
And almost all atheists believe religion is vain. Just as many teachers attempt to teach the Word of God, many atheists attempt to teach against it. And although they say they do not believe in the Bible, there are atheists acting as experts, attempting to prove the Word of God false. Atheists believe we are liars when we say Darwin recanted on his deathbed, but he did.
No, Darwin did not recant on his deathbed, okay? That has been a myth. Darwin did not recant on his deathbed. Not. His family, they have said many, many times they were there. He did not recant on his deathbed. Once again, you offer this statement and then offer absolutely no evidence to back up your claim. We're supposed to believe that Darwin, who dedicated his life, he dedicated his life to his studies, his understanding, and his seminal work, The Origin of Species, and all the work that went into that. And I mean, it wasn't something that was written overnight. It was done over years, experiments and all these things. And it wasn't because he had an understanding of where it was going to lead. He just simply was showing the evidence that was there if we opened up our eyes and looked. And here it was all, mapped out, so to speak, for us. All we had to do was look at the evidence. And he was just simply someone who came along and decided to dig deeper. And by doing so, he found that the answers on species and how we evolved, how we changed over time is there. All right? This recanting bullshit has been going on long enough. And ask yourself, by him recanting on his deathbed, who benefits? I think the answer is quite clear. That the creationists, if they can destroy the word of Charles Darwin, if they can make everything that he did null and void and a moot point, and just completely take away all credibility that this man has and the claims that he made. If they can do that not by evidence, not by offering counter evidence to prove what he says is wrong, they can't do that because that would be that's too much work. And they could spend a lifetime and not be able to refute the claims, and the evidence is there to support that. So it's there. It's not just written in a book. It's there. It's researchable. You can research this. You can look it up. You can find ways of confirming. Anyway, the deathbed conversion is completely false.
They hate it when we call evolution an unsubstantiated theory, and they become particularly incensed when believers say atheists have no moral ground to stand on. They also reject the notion America was founded on Bible principles, and in opposition to God and the Bible, atheists have spun a spider web of beliefs around themselves they want us to believe are not beliefs.
It's this guy just is starting to really piss me off because he makes so many claims, especially in this video, and offers nothing. It's just a constant barrage of, you know, strawman arguments and just, you know, complete untruth, and just one after the other, and offering nothing in the realms of evidence. And it continues.
Atheists even have their own Bible.
Oh, of course.
An illustrious collection of irreverent thoughts. Written by Joan Connor.
Yeah.
Just as we grow in obedience to God through the Bible, atheists grow in disobedience to God through their Bible. And they're developing many versions like we have done. So the atheists now have the unauthorized version of the atheist Bible. Just as we have the Gideon Society placing Bibles in hotels, motels, hospitals, and jails.
They have nothing better to do.
Atheists have the Abimelech Society, removing them.
Yes, they should be removed.
Many atheists are confused when they say they don't believe what they believe is a belief.
Now, if you understand that. Look, these Gideons who go around and place Bibles in all these different places, you know, they should be removed. Well, I mean, you know, you claim to be a Christian. You make all these claims that, that your version of God is the correct version of God. You know, I mean, how can all these religions of the world, what makes your religion the correct one and everybody else is false? You know, that, it's ridiculous. And it's so conceited, and it's so, I just lack the words, I really do. It just pisses me off to no end that, there's people out there that are so blinded by their own, shell that they have built their lives, and it's not even their own shell. It's not even their own beliefs. It's someone else's, They just simply swallow it, He wasn't born, a Christian, this guy. He was force-fed this shit. And he ate it, and he liked it. And he went, yum, 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 give me more. I like this. You watch his videos, he's smiling, and you just like to, if you saw this guy and he talked to you that face to face, he wouldn't have teeth, there would be a brawl. He looks like fucking Santa Claus. And it's ridiculous.
Atheists have blind guides who lead them as a flock, very much like religious leaders lead their flocks. They have their fundraisers and their gatherings where they encourage one another's rebellion against God.
Fuck off.
They encourage one another's obedience toward God. They have their own buildings where they congregate. They write books. They have bought into the media to promote their beliefs and recruit followers. Their shepherds write books and argue their cause. They file for tax-exempt status for their organizations, just like the churches do on some occasions.
On some occasions, church do this. Okay, man, you are so full of shit, your eyes are brown. All right, look. Atheism is not a gathering of people, as I said, to promote atheism. It's just simply people who choose not to believe the bullshit. Holy fuck.
They do. Atheists make themselves appear willing to die for what they believe, like believers in various unregenerate religions, are willing to die for what they believe. There are many atheists in hell right now, as you are reading or listening to what I have to say, who wish they had not died for what they believe. And for the record, many well-known atheists have realized too late on their deathbeds that they are about to fall into hell, and were seriously vexed on their deathbeds.
Now, you're talking there like you have first-hand knowledge of all these people that, all these people in hell. You've got a direct phone line to them, and they're sorry, and they're wishing they weren't there. And then all these other people that, on their deathbed, they make all these recounts and say, no, I was wrong, I believe in God, and yet, you know all this, because you're there. Like, when people die, you're running around like, from windowsill to windowsill, listening in and, flying the wall. Where the fuck do you get off making all these claims? You are completely insane. There's no other word for it. What you have provided here for us to listen to is just a collection of ramblings from an insane man. Okay? That doesn't mean it's real, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it correct. It just simply means that you're nuts. Alright?
Atheists hate religion so much, they find it intolerable for atheism to be called a religion.
Yeah, that's right. I do.
They fled
completely
from God
intolerable.
and from religion into atheism to get away from religion. So they will say the dictionary defines religion as God-centered, and since atheists believe God doesn't exist, atheism cannot be a religion. They won't believe the Bible, but they want us to believe the dictionary.
Well, who the fuck wrote the Bible? God didn't write the Bible. Men wrote the Bible. Who wrote the dictionaries? Men wrote the dictionaries. So you can pick and choose. The Bible's right, the dictionary's wrong. Look, if you start going down this road where, the definition of words are wrong and, the Bible is right, you are really painting yourself into a corner here that you're not going to be able to get out of. This idea that you can come up and say all these things, completely unsubstantiated, things that you can claim and pass it off as the truth, it's dishonest.
Dictionaries are written by imperfect and oftentimes uninspired men.
Oh, uninspired men. Heaven forbid. Oh my. Uninspired men. What does that mean? An uninspired man wrote this dictionary. It must not be true. I guess this, these words in here are just, in definitions, they're just, we just start throwing them away, They're uninspired, that... Do you actually listen to what the fuck you're saying? It is... Oh.
There is no reason to accept them as treasuries of truth. Atheists evangelize their godless faith in preaching God does not exist, very much like religious leaders preach God does exist. Atheists live as though they were their own gods upon the earth, with all reality centering around themselves. They look to themselves ultimately...
Stop right there. Atheists live on the earth as they're the center of everything, as if all reality, what is reality? Alright? I've said it in this video already. You've just completely undone everything that you've been saying. Right there. All reality. Let's hear that again. Let's just go back a little bit and we'll hear what he says again.
Atheists evangelize their godless faith in preaching God does not exist, very much like religious leaders preach God does exist. Atheists live as though they were their own gods upon the earth, with all reality centering around themselves. They look to
There we go.
themselves ultimately for their light, while we who believe in God look to Him as the source of all our light. This brings to mind the warning where Jesus said, if the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? When atheists look in the mirror, they are looking at their highest being. They are looking at their God, small g. Yet they cannot save themselves.
Well, look, when atheists look in the mirror, as with anyone else who looks in the mirror, if you see something else other than yourself in the mirror, then you've got issues. You've got problems. And we have places. There's places for people that hear voices and see other people in the mirror other than themselves. And maybe you should look into some of those places. There's quite a few of them around. I think every city has at least one or two. It usually starts with a visit to the hospital, and then it goes from there. And I've said this before. You, as a Christian, as a creationist, as whatever you want to call yourself, you making the claim that God exists. And I've said to you, the burden of proof is upon you. You need to provide the evidence that what you're claiming is true and accurate. Okay? I don't have to provide anything. I don't have to do anything because I'm not making the claim. If I then say, well, I don't believe what you say, then you say, well, that's fine. Here is my evidence. Have a look at my evidence. And then I look at your evidence, and then I make a decision and go, oh, no, that's not right. Or, oh, wow, I didn't realize. Okay? So you provide evidence. That evidence gets looked at, and then people make a decision based on that evidence. Not a claim of God exists, that's it, and you can't prove, so therefore he still exists. This is what you're making, this ridiculous claim that God cannot be proven to not exist, therefore he must exist. And that is a ridiculous argument. Okay? And I could say that about anything. That up in my roof, in my attic, I've got an alien. Okay? And he came down one night and he landed in my back garden. And he said, and he spoke English. And he said to me that he really, really wanted to live in my attic. Okay? So I'm telling you now that I've got an alien who lives in my attic. Alright? So, there it is. Now, it's not, I'm making the claim. So you think, oh, the guy's nuts. Well, prove it. Alright, well, you come on over to my house, and I will take you up into the attic, and I will show you my alien. And if you come on over to my house, and I take you up into my attic, and you don't find an alien, then what conclusion do you draw? Do we really have to go into this level of absurdity and ridiculousness? Do we really have to go to that level with Christians and creationists? Has it really gone down to that level where it becomes such a ridiculous joke and claims that you make and offer absolutely nothing in return in the way of evidence? I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. be sure to comment on this video. If you have some comments, I'm sure you will have some comments. Video responses, sub, everything that that I personally would love for you to do. Everybody wants to get the message out here on YouTube, and I'm no different. I put out something, and I want people to see it, and I want people to comment on it, and I'm not going to lie to you. So please comment, please sub, and rate, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever, and let me know, because ultimately I'm making these videos for you. So peace out, folks.